York's classic rock, Q1043.
Ken Nash has Beatles Revolution, the Cowsills. For people of my age, we know the Cowsills. We grew up with the Cowsills. If you don't know the Cowsills, I want to introduce you to the Cowsills. What is he talking about? Here you see on the screen, on the podcast with me, Bob, Paul, and Susan Cowsill. Welcome, 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 guys. Glad to have you aboard.
Thank you, Ken. Hey, everybody. How's it going?
Everybody.
So when I first saw you at the cutting room, I thought, wow, what is this going to be? What is this going to be? And I just want to share with the world, and people it's amazing, like checking in from Greece and from all over. Find the Cowsills. God willing, they come to your town because it will be the most joyous, life-affirming, fun evening you can have. I was blown away. You guys are just, your energy that you give away is great. I remember we were doing I do live breakfast of the Beatles a few times a year. We do it from the cutting room. And I was promoting your show. And I said to Stevie Van Zandt, who's been my running buddy with this for 20 years, we do it together. I said, if you have to see the Cowsills, why? I said, because what they bring to the show is the same as Bruce and the E Street Band. And he turned to me and said, do you hear what you're saying? And I said, exactly. I'm not talking about the repertoire. I'm not talking about the songs. I'm talking about the energy. The shows I love the most. What Bruce, McCartney, even the Stones to some effect, there's an intimacy that happens between the audience and the band. When that connection happens, that's the magic that happens for me on a show.
That's the fun.
And you guys own it. You guys
Ken, that's really quite a compliment. That's a high compliment. Thank you.
Look at, I'm floating up into the universe because my head is so big from that. Whoa.
No, hey, it's important to let you know that honesty, it's honesty up there. We're having as much fun as the audience. We're all in it together at these shows, and the ride, we're in the same car. You know what I mean? I mean, it really does fuel off each other, and we have a fun time.
Billy Joel has done this residency unlike anything else at Madison Square Garden. One show a month, as we just announced, year 9, and it's sold out. And the magic of it, there's no lasers, there's no smoke, there's no dancing girls. The magic of it is 20,000 people, and he treats it like it's the Cowsills at the cutting room. And he talks one-on-one to 20,000 people. And
I've heard of that.
If you can do that, that's a skill set all its own. The last time I saw him, did a couple of songs, and the audience applauds, and he stops. He said, my throat's killing me. I think I sound like shit. Is it sounding right? And he said, they gave me some of this crap, and holds up a spray. He goes, tries it. He goes, oh, it tastes like shit. All right, I'll take my best shot at this. If not, you guys will sing. And I thought, who else goes on a stage in an arena and just goes, yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, how you doing?
That's awesome.
So I wanted the journey. As a kid, I knew the Cowsills. I know Hair. I bought the 45. I knew a bit about it. How is it that here we are in 2022 and you guys get back together and you've been touring now? What I don't even know if you were. I mean, I know Susan Cowsill. I know your music from New Orleans, from Jazz Fest. I knew you as a solo artist and loved your music. By the way, like total fanboy. Your music, your songs are absolutely brilliant. But that to me is you in New Orleans environment and Jazz Fest environment that I knew.
Well, other me.
How did this come back together? How did the Cowsills become this again? Or did you simply never stop, but I didn't know it?
In a way, that's true. Really, this is after 18 years of our 7-piece band, the Cowsills, being together, doing shows just every year, just playing live and getting better live and getting stronger. They're all muscles, and then the opportunity. Now, believe me, in the 18 years, from years 12 or maybe even 9 to 18, Susan is bugging her brothers to make a record. And we're just going to admit that. And the brothers, I'm going like, why? I mean, we've done Cocaine Draining Global, and those are nice family library CDs that's truth where they ended up, as good as they are. And so you go, but the universe is pulling us forward, okay, puts us on the Happy Together tour. And it is there one summer that we're going to discover that our reservoir is full and it's time to produce. And once we started writing, a bit of a frenzy took over, and experiences were had and relationships developed in the writing development between the three of us, especially. We had never been able to do that.
Yeah,
People say, why? Oh, go ahead. Oh,
yeah, no, I was going to say, I know if people know a bit of the story, maybe they saw the documentary, that your brother Bill was kind of like a mainstay of writing, of creating, and all that. If I'm remembering it correctly?
In the early years, absolutely, when he was there, sure.
So how is it suddenly saying, guys, let's make a record, let's write together? I mean, is it tough? Who's the boss? How does it work?
You know who's the boss? The boss, Ken, is the universe.
Yeah.
And that's the only boss that we've been listening to, because we don't know why this is happening. You know, people are always constantly going, man, why are you doing this? Because the universe is telling us to do it.
Because they're asking also, what do you think you're going to do? You know, that kind of attitude. But that's okay. We love that. And look, our life is an audition. We've always gone through doors and we've auditioned. We know we have to sell ourselves. But this unique relationship of writing songs together and then being good, and then other things happening in our life, meeting Rock Positano, our executive producer, meeting Brad at Omnivore Recordings, and developing relationships for a team. That is why we're here, is because of the team. You need the good songs, of course. But beyond that, there's this long equation that equals here we are, and we're real grateful for that.
Yes, and the reason, the answer to the long equation is that we just love doing this. You know, I don't want to shout this, but you know, if we didn't get paid, I think we'd still have to do this in some. We'd always be looking for benefit concerts to do or something.
Oh,
no,
we did do it without getting paid. Did you get paid
know.
for Rhythm of the World?
Of course,
we're in there.
We have yet to be paid. All I'm saying is that we would do it even if there was no prospects of pay.
You know, at this point in the world, you're making a record, you're making music. I still call it records, but you're making music because it's in your heart, and you'll put it out, and we'll find it. That whole, the business as we know it, of what's the single, what's the influential single, what should be the first track, we get on this, that's done. Friends in the music business, they said, left a big company when they said, well, how many units did it sell? Like, as soon as you just talk about units, I don't know what planet you're on, but that doesn't exist. The brand is the Cowsills. It's pure fun. Here's some new music. Here's the show. We're going to see this podcast. We're going to see, you know, and it's part of who you are, and it's presenting yourself. That's what it is.
It is. And I'm going to tell you, it's like, I mean, before there was a record industry, my friends, and before maybe the court in medieval times, I mean, you made music out of your body for yourself, for the guy next to you, words, no words. It is a natural thing to make that sound. And people have been doing it since we were born on the planet. And so, like, why doing this? Because that's what we were born to do, you know, and why record a record in 2022, you know, and think you can even squeak through and be heard by anybody? Well, that's not the point either. Point is to make them. Now that we're here, we are so blessed, because it looks like people might just hear about it, but we do it because it's what we do.
It's so much fun.
And when you write a song, which we wrote 11 of, it's always been our nature, which is why there's only 3 albums, to get into the studio ASAP. Songs need to be recorded, arranged, dressed up, prettied up, and finished. And so it could even prevent you from writing. If you know that, well, what am I, okay, I write a song, then what? Well, there's no studio in sight. Well, I'm not writing yet then. You know, I mean, it's crazy, but it's true. We can't wait to get into the studio, the lab, you know, all that's true.
It's like, if I don't have something to wear, I'm not going to the party. I need something to wear first.
Right. It's pure joy. It's why the 4 of us are the luckiest people on earth, because we get to do something we love. You know, I got in my 60s, and my finance guy said, do you have a date in mind when you want to retire? I always ask somebody, and I've got this pen, and I'm going to give you this fancy pen. I said, yes, I do. He said, shoot. I said, when I draw my last breath on earth. He threw the pen down. And he said,
Absolutely.
you know, I've got CEOs of companies that tell me 2 years, 3 months, 2 weeks. Like, but that's how prisoners think. You know, how many watches can you buy? How many boats can you buy? If that's your mindset.
Hey, we were motivated by Tony Bennett, Ken. Okay. we just watched him and just admired him and respected him and going, man, and all of a sudden out of my mouth going, man, I want to be that guy
Yeah.
because he's playing it for the joy of it, you know?
Tony, I got for in New York. Tony was at every rock concert. He's
Wow.
backstage at every party I've been at.
Yeah, okay.
And he wasn't doing it like his manager said, "Oh, go to U2." You know, we're hanging out talking
Right.
about U2 music, and he was a fan. He was a fucking fan, which is why
Yeah.
he was backstage.
That's
And like
that-
that's why whatever we want to call it, karma, muse, the gods. Why Tony got this incredible second act.
Yeah.
His passion never waned, just like you said.
No.
Anything.
Yeah, there's no
That was
in between time.
inspirational.
The only thing there is, hey, I'm in between gigs.
Exactly.
Yeah. All for
Exactly. All right, a quick Tony Bennett story, and I think it's cool to tell. I don't think he would mind. I mean, he's struggling a bit now, but come on, you're 90s. You're allowed to
Mhm.
do that. It was at a John Lennon thing. It was a movie, a Yoko movie that she had done of him, Imagine, and we're at the thing, and we're sitting, the house lights go down, and Tony Bennett turns around to me and hands me a joint that he just took a hit of. And I was just like, I was like,
you were like this.
yeah, exactly. It was really cool, Susan. I was like, I looked like a little rascal. Like,
I am. My
and Tony smiled
gosh.
and said, "Well, stupid, you wanted a nut."
Right,
Yeah, yes, Mr. Bennett. Yes, Mr. Bennett. Because what am I ever going to say in my life?
right.
I got to take
That
a talk
is
with Tony
phenomenal
Bennett.
That is
story. You
That's
lucky
a good one.
Hey, he
Well,
could
there
have
you
said,
go.
hey, you want it or not? The guy behind me just handed it to me.
That's right.
my
And it was
God.
Tony. Hey, Tony sends this with love. Here.
What a night!
What a
Oh,
night.
that's great.
kidding.
That
Oh,
was
what
a
a
moment. So, what's the title of the new album?
Rhythm of the
Rhythm of the
world.
world.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And we can find it at cowsills.com. Where do we
You can
where do we
find it
that?
everywhere. Rhythm of the World's on Omnivore Recordings,
Yes.
and it is everyone's got it. I mean, if you just, the Council's Rhythm of the World, you know, they're all there. It's being sold everywhere once it comes out, even in Germany and Japan and England. It's all
UK.
over
Right,
the
and
world.
that's on the 30th. The
Yeah, the
30th, right?
30th.
It's coming out. So what is the date today?
It's
Oh, yeah,
it's
we're
coming out.
recording this in late September. So September 30th, 22, it comes out.
It's coming.
Right.
It's coming.
Yep, that's
Okay,
it.
so it's going to be easy to find. Easy
Okay.
to find.
All right, so
Yeah.
now
Album-
I'm switching gears. You know, I'm a big
Switch 'em,
Beatle
switch 'em.
geek. I've got my Hofner
Ooh, I
behind me
see
as
the
Bob
gear. I
saw.
see the
Yeah,
gear.
yeah.
So I'm always fascinated talking about people who were recording and performing contemporaries of them through the 60s. I just talked with Jimmy Webb earlier today about, you know, you're writing songs. It's an era of the 60s, and it's of classic rock. To me, my 2 cents is that this was a renaissance of commercial art in this period, where it's one of those things like the Medicis. It happens once in a blue moon. Now there's either art or there's comments or commerce. You know, you're dancing. It's a beautiful razzle dazzle dance with lights, but the music's really bland and generated by the computer.
Interesting
Or you sing it
observation.
from your heart and you're playing the small room at City Winery. But in your era, I mean, from books, movies, The Godfather, every level of commercial art was really at a high level. Your contemporaries, the Beatles, what did you think of them?
Oh my God, Bob, go.
Well, here's the deal. When you're in the middle of that, okay. So the Beatles, they directed us in everything. We were the perfect age. We had the perfect band ready to be had. And this is how you wear your hair. Here's the gear you get. Here's the songs you learn, and you can write yourselves. Okay. And so, but what they also did, they set a bar so high that everybody else understood their position. And now we could all vie for second place because no one's going to unseat them. But there were so many groups that could come up with 4 or 5 hits. Most of us, I mean, you can on one hand, you know, the ones, and they can play 2 hours, the Beach Boys, Fleetwood Mac, the Eagles, but you're going to run out at 7 maybe. Most of us had about 5 hits, from the Kinks to the Cowsills to the, you know what I mean? But they were great songs, great records, and it was a frenzy from all of us. Now there's 10 spots in the top 10, and man, everyone. And number one's taken, you know, it was a blast. And we feel that we held our own as kids. You know, we don't think anyone's noticing us, but we're up there with them. And it was a special time for sure. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, and you know what? We were really young, and to get it to, if we thought of competition as what game were we going to play against each other? Honestly,
Yeah.
that took up most of our
Oh,
day.
yeah. Oh.
So
Not- yeah.
so you know, so we weren't sitting around going, man, we got to knock the Beatles right off of their rack. You know,
Right.
we're not. We're going, hey, where's a hoop around? Or you know, we were just kids.
And
Yeah.
also, if we were doing anything about the Beatles, it was, I know Bob, Bob and Bill. It's like, we want to be like the Beatles. And
Emulation.
we saw them in 64, and in 67, we were on the very same stage. And I can remember, and I was really, really young, but I remember the scuttlebutt was, we want to be on Ed Sullivan like the Beatles. That's what we want. I mean, that's the ultimate thing. And when we were there, because I do remember seeing the Beatles, because I just remember everything on Sullivan, I was pretty blown away at the magic that appeared to happen in our house, from living in rural Rhode Island, watching these guys on a black and white small tube, to literally standing in the studio only, 3 years later. That's crazy.
And how old were you at the time when you hit Sullivan? What were your ages? Susan,
I was
start with
8.
you.
I
You
was
were
8.
8,
Yep.
9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I was
17,
15.
15, Paul, 17.
Yeah.
Barry
Yeah.
and John were 12 and 10, or yeah, we were little.
It's how could you even to even try to grasp the moment, the weight of it. You
Well,
know,
we were young.
We were kids.
Yeah, we were kids, and we'd been, by the time we were on Sullivan, we'd gone through 2 labels, been dropped by 2 labels, had 3 or 4 flops. You know, we're not that you're looking at veterans, but you're certainly looking at people that aren't taking anything for granted this time either, even though we're on Ed Sullivan.
Also,
Right.
what you were saying, Ken, I mean, we were doing it. It was happening. So it's like, I mean, it was, I knew exactly what had happened. That TV place, we are now in that TV. People are looking at us on their couches. And I was like, that's why we're pop kids. We watch television 24/7.
Yes.
So,
And the other funny thing is that when Woodstock came out, let's say, people would say to us, hey guys, hey, why weren't you at Woodstock? Well, because we were playing in Akron, Ohio. So we could have never made the date.
Not like
a gig's a gig. You're working professionals. You're maybe
Exactly.
kids, teenagers, but you're working pros. My favorite line about Ed Sullivan, again, it comes from my buddy Little Steven, who always said, February 8th, 1964, there were probably 200 rock bands in America. By February 10th, you couldn't find a guitar anywhere from Maine to Baja, California. And you're right. All of teenagers went, that's it. Every musician, I swear, guys, every musician I talked to, George Thorogood, everybody went, that's it. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
you busted. Talk about a baby boom.
Well,
we
and
were
also,
lucky. We were lucky because we were doing it already, and we just needed to change our gear.
you know what? And I don't think all the screaming girls held the guys back any. You know what I mean? I think that had a little bit to, man, look at this. All you got to do is strum that E.
Star. Yeah.
So
Stevie told me when he went to see A Hard Day's Night, as a young teenager in New Jersey down the shore, the girls were running up onto the stage and kissing the screen. and we're laughing at it, but I get it. And he said, we're sitting there, 14-year-old boys going, we got to figure out a way to get on that screen.
Yeah, man.
We have got to
kiss
figure
my
out a way to
feet,
be on the
maybe.
screen.
Yeah, I don't care what they could. That's funny.
That Monday morning after that Beatles thing, that Monday morning at the school bus stop was a whole changed atmosphere, man. We were not cool anymore. And all the girls were huddled up and just going crazy over the Beatles. It was quite a slap in the face at that point.
Can I make one more point on Ed Sullivan? See, when the Beatles came out, remember, it was 3 Sundays in a row.
Right.
Now, prior to that time, you have their recordings. Okay, this is what we're at home trying to slice and dice of these recordings. How are they doing this? And we got a band, we're trying to apply it right there in the living room, trying to figure it out. And they're not in concert. They're not doing television shows. It's the radio. There's no internet. So you try and figure it out with your ears. Now, the 3 Ed Sullivan shows, there's about 12 songs. Believe me, for the 200 bands that were in the United States that night, every one of us at 8 o'clock Sunday, we're watching these guys to figure out how they did it. And by the 3rd Sunday, we were off to the races, learning everything, getting our own jobs, playing their songs.
Again, another quote. My buddy Randy Bachman just celebrated a birthday yesterday. He said, "Whenever anybody asks me, did you ever have any formal music training?" I said, "Yeah, I bought Beatle records."
All
Yeah,
right.
He goes, it was very simple. Here was my school. He goes, my
There you
little
go.
record player, a Beatle record, my guitar, a pad and pen, and a pitcher of iced tea. And
Ah.
everybody else was out playing ball and stuff. And I just sat there, bar by bar, picking the tone arm up over and over again, seeing if I could unscrew it like a watch, kind of, and figure out how the
Yes,
gears went. He goes,
yes.
and don't think, as I started to get better at playing the guitar, I started learning how the parts fit together a little bit. I could never be at that level. I still am not, but I learned structurally. When you hear the hit song, the 5 hits that I have, of taking care of business, here's how you open. Here's how, he said, what I learned from them was that every single bar, every instrument is a hook. The
It
opening
is.
is a hook you can't forget. The
Yeah.
the lyric is a lyric you can't forget. The melody line, the bridge is its own song you can't forget. Every
Yeah.
single
Song
element,
within a song. Yeah.
nothing wasted. And I thought, wow, you got to really work on it to get. If I had a song that was okay, that's not okay. When hey, it sounds good. Yeah, that's the beginning of it. That's
Right.
what I learned. You have to keep on until
Do
you
that.
get it to
Yep.
be
Well,
that. But yeah,
to your point right there, zoom ahead 60 years, and here we are now putting out, we might even think it's one of the best Cowsill albums that ever went out, is coming out on September 30th.
congratulations. You should be
We're putting a
really,
new
really
album out.
proud of it. Really
We
proud of it. What I got to hear what Bob sent me so far. It's brilliant. It's
Oh.
just wonderful.
Thank
Oh,
you.
cool.
And
So
I
you
don't
got
say
some
that
of it,
lightly.
nice.
I'm not just saying that because it's my guest. I love music from the heart. And that's what
Yeah.
it can be silly, it can be fun, it can be heartfelt. But when sometimes you feel the energy, you feel the connection coming through the songwriter, the voice, whatever it is, and that's what has always moved me. That resonated from, the Beatles start. I want to hold your hand, and their mop tops and shaking their heads. They fire them after 2 years. And as I said, I was talking with Jimmy Webb this morning. He said, "How the hell did they get from 'She Loves You, Yeah, Yeah, Yeah' to Eleanor Rigby in 2 years?" I'm like, exactly.
Well, also part of it, guys, is back then we didn't do something and milk it for 3 years. We did something, got it out there. We had something else that went out, and sometimes our songs we had one going down while the next one was going up. They would never do that today. They
And
milk it
also,
forever.
back then, a bunch of these
We wanted to keep it
combinations
going.
that there aren't even anymore were a plethora of new chord progressions and all these cool things you can do. Now you've got to really invent.
Yeah, I mean, because now I hate. I'm trying not to put anyone's music down or what you love. But when the computer is doing all the music, when the computer is everything, it sounds like a computer to me. It's all perfect. It's quantized. And rock and roll music to me is the exact opposite of that. It's supposed to be alive. It's supposed to have a heartbeat.
Yes.
And that's what I don't hear. If I didn't, and I say this to anybody listening or watching this, in a pop world today, and these are great songs, if you didn't see the performer, if you don't see it, can you really tell who's singing? Be whether it's a male or a female voice, you can tell that. But after it's all auto-tuned, how can you be sure who is singing? Because to my ear, and I still have good ears, the
Yeah.
similarity of the rise, the fall, the beat. There's no specific instrument. It's
That's
just a
interesting.
sound that rises and cascades and falls.
Yeah.
There's
that's
no
funny.
individuality.
I don't have a sense of that. I have the
It's a
auto-tuning
Wallace-
thing.
Right.
It's such a new thing. Somebody said, yeah, that Cher song, "Do You Believe in Love," was auto-tuned. I'm going, well, what do you mean? What is it? I never really quite understood what auto-tuning. I know we used to have, what was that thing we used to tweak?
Pitch correct.
I
No.
know.
Auto-tune, if you sing flat, it'll bring you back where you need it.
Yeah. But back in the day when we wanted to just fudge the whole track, we had that.
You VSO, where you made
Yeah.
it or slower.
Right.
Yeah.
Or slower, or
We-
faster or slower.
It's one of the saddest, funniest jokes I know is what did the Pro Tools engineer say to the young ingenue singer? That
What?
sucked. Come on in.
Yeah, I can fix it.
What difference does it make?
That's okay. Look, we're
Wait a minute. Time out on that.
Hey, I'll tell you this, Ken, that pretty much most of the lead vocals on Rhythm of the World were either first takes, they're full takes, we know that, Nothing was pieced together.
No, and we don't.
It was
use
just, we were
Yeah.
in a good frame there, just like you predict, when you're feeding off each other. And the seven of us are on this 12-acre studio at Dockside with no outside interference at all. And no record people, company people, just Justin Tockett and the seven Cowsills creating that record. And man, God, that was a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Well, and also at our age, we kind of know how to sing. And so we know to give it your very best and everything you got that first take, because, you probably just done it.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure that first one is excellent.
Yeah. And at
They
our
go,
age,
"Yeah, do another. Well, I think we got it right there.
You
Yeah,
have
that's
to be
how I
willing
am.
to
But
take
but it
that,
brings
yeah.
me to another point, which is, and it's something my wife has said all the time: familial harmonies. There's just nothing like when siblings sing together genetically, which is the most amazing thing about the Beatles. How did these three guys from different parts of Liverpool just? It has to be. It's harder to believe in coincidence than to
I believe in
believe that there
mankind.
wasn't a force making these three guys come together. Because when they sing harmony, it's the Cowsills, it's the Bee Gees, it's the Wilson brothers. There's a harmony that might as well be brothers.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
the Beatles had an underrated vocal stack, and they employed it very well. And what we did even, yes, we acknowledge the DNA advantage, not well component really, and because it's how you use it still. I mean, we'll build a stack where the three of us switch positions, but it still gets that nice familial blend, but it does sound a little different. So you can
It's vibrational.
mess
almost.
around with, all those voices. It's fun to do. And there is that similarity. And when Paul goes out and does an U track and I go out and do the U track, it's not going to be able to tell the difference too much. But
And sometimes we'll all
there
be
is a
out there.
difference.
Yeah. And we'll be out there. And then all of a sudden, I know these guys thought it. I will hear myself and I go, man, I sound like mom. What's up with that?
Yeah, right.
This might be a dumb question, but I mean it sincerely. Have you always been able to sing? Is it something you're just born with?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank God.
My first
Yes.
public appearance was when I was 9 in the 3rd grade, and I brought my guitar to class and sang All Day, All Night, Marianne to the class. That was my first public performance.
At
And I
Catholic.
had that guitar on my back, no case. I had to walk to my Catholic school down Thames Street in Newport, Rhode Island, rough and tumble Navy Town at the time, going by the Blue Moon Saloon and all the places
Where
to
he
the
learned
school
the
and
song.
pulling that guitar. And Sister Anna Patrice said, "No, class, Bobby Cowsills, and I'm going to sing for the class." I'm going, as the guy I am today, I'm going, how did I do that? Put that into my head. You don't remember. I mean,
Well,
we
it's
all
funny.
had young starts.
Yeah. And I mean, of course, Bob and Bill were always the ramrods, and for any of the rest of us to get in that band, we had to sing My Hillbilly Baby, and it better be the best damn My Hillbilly Baby you ever did. And because I remember doing it a couple of times and they're going, yeah, well, come back when you can really sing that song.
Well, we had actually
Wait. I'm gonna stop you. All right, I want to hear a little bit of Hillbilly Baby.
My hillbilly baby, sweetest gal in
town.
She'll make you happy.
And she's not around. Someday I will
I will
marry her.
and hope it's
Anyway.
not too late. But until it's over, I guess I'll have to wait.
There you go.
I know I'm mighty lucky. A little country
Thank
boy
you.
like
Thank you
me.
very
Paul
much.
clearly
Thank you. We'll call
memorized it.
you.
I did it enough.
Paul memorized it for the audition. It was either that or I've been working on the railroad. I mean, it was one of those songs.
Susan, what was your first? Susan, what was your first moment?
I picked it. I wanted to sing Love Child. Everybody got weird. So I did Talking Guy. That was my audition song at Hallidan Hall, our big
Wait
mansion.
a minute. You're saying you didn't sing My Hillbilly Baby?
No, I
No. She got in.
Billy let me pick my own.
Oh, well, there you go. Preferential treatment.
Yeah.
Very good.
Of course.
Jeez.
I nailed
Hey,
it.
Susan.
Well,
why
tell
did
us
we
that
not-
story, Susan.
What?
Well,
What?
if you pass the audition with Sweet Talking Guy, what the heck is Hello Hello doing on the live and concert album?
Pick that. That is your father's poor taste and very, very questionable.
Very quiet. Thank you very much. Anyway, we don't want to sidebar on Ken here, but
Oh, I love it. I love it. This is
Anyway.
what you're getting in concert, by the way, folks. When you go to see the Cowsills, you're simply
Yeah.
at the family table and they're singing
Yeah.
for you, and you are a part of the family as we go through
Dude.
it.
So
Many,
true.
Yeah.
many times we'll be on stage and me and Susan will be hashing something out over on our side. And then we'll kind of come back and Bob will be talking to the audience, look at those two over there. I don't know what they're talking about. And don't they know that I am working over here?
That's one of my favorite moments when you two just go off and have a private moment while in the middle of the show, while it's going on, or they interrupt you and you go, "I'm talking now." It's just, it's just
Working.
Working
here.
here, working.
No, that was, but it's also it's a thing we point out a lot about touring and things. It's the 10,000 hours. It's doing it over and over again. You know what everybody said about the Beatles, and especially we saw them in the early days in England, that was scary. Solar flare.
Yes, I had one.
But as everybody said, when we saw them on Sullivan, brand new overnight sensations, they had played 3 months, 7 nights a week, 5, 6 hours a night in Hamburg. They played 300 clubs in a year's time, literally 300 shows in 63. So that by the time we see them on Sullivan, nobody's looking for a note. Nobody has to count it in. They're a machine. They're a military machine, and they're going.
They were ready. And listen, we even dressed the same. Okay, we took it that far. The Beatles dressed the same. The Cowsills are dressing the same. Now we're in purple tuxedos. We are not cool, okay, but we're dressed the same. We like that part.
Yeah.
You made the effort. So what's next for the Cowsills? We've got a new album out. You're touring. You're still on tour. Where are you headed? What part of the country?
Oh my gosh, we have Branson, Missouri, from November 1st to December 9th, and a Christmas show Monday through Saturday every night at the Indy Williams Moon River Theater with the Letterman and some other entertainers and Rick Thomas, great magician, kind of the old variety TV show approach to a show, which we have done plenty of in our past. And so we get that. And then we're in Natick, Massachusetts, and also
we're going to the Golden Nugget. Golden Nugget in Vegas, and we're also playing in Lakeland, Florida, and we're also going to Wheeling, West Virginia, just a state away from me and Bob's home state of Virginia. And we're going on the Flower Power cruise, and we're doing that, and we're going to be doing 3 shows on that. We're going to stay the whole time with all the great people that cruise,
and continuing to do TV, radio, press, internet, and podcasts to promote and help Rhythm of the World, of course.
Right.
And our live show takes a little morphing now. So we're going to bring in new songs, have the old songs, other people's old songs. We love to do the cover songs we do. We love them.
Right,
I mean, you can either listen to You've Got Your Troubles by the Fortunes, or what if you could play it and really feel what it felt like to play that song?
Crazy.
It's a special thing, guys. So we love the cover tunes.
It is.
And we'll probably always do some, it's what are you going to do?
All right,
we're a band in transition. Basically,
I'm bringing it back around to the boys from Liverpool. Have you ever covered a Beatles song?
Recording wise?
Yeah, or performance? Yeah.
Oh, we do them all the time. I mean, Paperback Writer is on our 1969 Live in Concert album. Okay. And so is Mr. Postman.
8 days a week. We'll start a show with that.
Shoot, on John Lennon's birthday one year at the Cutting Room, we were there that night, and we opened the show with 8 days a week. We did the Abbey Road on the River. Now we're doing Let It Be, This Boy, 8 days a week.
Let It Be.
Yeah, we'll do we'll do whatever we can. We love them.
Awesome. All right,
and so we can do them.
We do the live next week. I'm going to be up at the Foxwoods Resort Casino for John Lennon's birthday. Breakfast of the Beatles live band. Got Mark Rivera, who's with Billy Joel and Ringo's music director. Mark Ribler. Stevie can't make it this year, but we do it one year. We have to coordinate around George's birthday or something and have you guys live up to do some Beatles.
Let's
do it.
Love it.
You have our contact information.
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's do a show.
Now I need favorite Beatles songs. Susan, putting you on the spot. And don't think to, because it changes for me all the time.
Okay, well, this week it's If I Fell. How about that?
Perfect.
Good sunshine all of a sudden.
I'm going to say Norwegian Wood.
Theater in Newport.
Norwegian Wood.
Yeah.
Okay. Bob?
It has always been And Your Bird Can Sing.
And Your Bird Can Sing.
Haven't They have not supplanted it with all the great other songs there are. There's something about that arrangement and that where they sat it and the harmonies. It blows me away. Yeah.
I once had a girl, or should I say?
I mean, it's
Tell
such
me
a
that you
that was
hurt.
the first time I realized how big a Dylan influence was on this band. You know, you hear
Right.
John a waltz tempo Dylan song, you know,
Interesting.
just like the
Oh, Hide Your Love Away did that too. I'm going, who is that?
Yes.
Who is
yeah.
Hide Your Love Away? Is that the Beatles? You know,
Hey,
They were
you
great.
got to-
you know
cool.
what one other thing that what my the British I learned so much about the Beatles not from reading books but from you guys, from every musician I got to talk to, and the folks in England gave me a different perspective of what they did. The two biggest things I learned that I never thought of, said everybody we ever saw was so and so and the so and so's, you know, Elvis and the Jordanaires, Cliff Richard and the Shadows. It was the guy in front and 2-3 people behind him doing a step, doing a band.
Yep.
And suddenly the Beatles, and said it's the first time we ever saw 3 microphones in the front. You never would see 3 people in the front and the drummer in the back. It was the band and the handsome guy in the front doing the lead. And he said, you don't understand that the stage setup changed overnight because they have, well, which one's the singer? What is he? Who's the lead singer? All
Right.
3 of them sing?
Right.
You know, those are the kind of things. Ozzy, the biggest Beatle fan in the world. I'm like, what, the music? He goes, the music is great, but we didn't know. I mean, not sputtering like Ozzy, but he said, singing, making a living as a performer were for handsome people in London. That's what handsome guys in London did, or New York, or Elvis. But we didn't know you could come from, if you could come from Liverpool and try it, maybe a bunch of punters from Birmingham. We're not good looking like them, but we might have a shot. They'd gone to see some crappy horror movie, and they came out and they're at the pub, and he said, it was Tony who said, what if we were like the horror movie Beatles?
Yeah.
Yes, I could. And,
Even
you
they
know,
opened
from
that
that
door.
heavy metal music is born. Just, you know, that is there a place we could fit in? Like you said, we can't be there. Nothing can touch that shelf. But is there a niche somewhere on this board where we could maybe get a spot and do this? He said, so it wasn't just that the music was great. They opened up a door, a path, because either you went, he said, you had 3 options. You went to university if you were smart. And if you're not smart like us, you went to work in the factory. But making music was something you did on a weekend to get 10 quid to maybe pick up girls. To make a living as a musician, nobody even thought of that in England until they did it.
But look what we did. We did what all these Beatle bands today. When we were in high school, we could learn those songs, okay? And If I Feel Fine was #1, the club at the weekend club we played at, they knew they were going to get it from us. I Feel Fine live, and we could do it. And that's what made us good. We just honed ourselves on their songs, but it got us good.
Brilliant. Guys, thank you so much for your time. It's such a joy just talking with you, Bob.
Well,
Paul,
thanks for
Susan,
reaching
Cowsill.
out. Yeah,
We loved it.
great.
Oh, so glad. Thank you so much.
And keep us posted if you need us for anything in the future. You know, we want to revisit. Let us know, please.
I just want to tell everybody out there that we also listen to Q104.3 FM, iHeartRadio, and everybody else should.
There you go.
Thank you so much. Listen, I don't say this with braggadocio, but for the first time, I've been doing this 43 years, classic rock with the #1 radio station in New York, 12 plus. Teenagers and 20-somethings have found real music and have fallen in love with it. And if I had one little iota to do with that, then, you know, I did my job to keep saying, check this out, check this out. Listen.
That's
You're doing
awesome.
it now.
Ken, thank you.
Love
All
to.
right,
Check this out.
everybody.
That's all we're asking.
Safe travels and have a wonderful
Thank
night.
you, sir. Keep us posted on
Bye-bye.
things.
And thank you. Bye,
Okay.
guys.
Thank you, technician Toli Mole.
Thanks.
Yeah, Tony Mole.
Well, that's it. But Maritza is our
Maritza.
goddess of digital. She is just our queen.
Thank
I
you.
couldn't do anything without her.
Thank you,
Well,
Maritza.
thank you.
You guys are
Bye-bye,
great.
everybody.
Okay.
Bye, guys.
Bye
Good
bye.
night. Good night.
New York's classic rock, Q1043.